Welcome to Addiction Group's podcast, where we address pressing questions about addiction. Our goal is to provide insight and guidance for those seeking answers. I'm your host, Anna. Welcome to today's episode of the Addiction Group's podcast, where we're diving deep into the pressing issue of substance addiction and its impact on relationships, particularly marriage and divorce. Today, we have with us Ben, an expert in the field of addiction and relationship counseling. Ben, could you start us off by explaining how substance addiction can affect marriages?
Absolutely, Anna. Thanks for having me on the podcast. Substance addiction can take a significant toll on a marriage by essentially becoming the center of the addicted individual's life. It leads to behaviors that can undermine the very foundation of trust and partnership in a marriage, such as neglecting familial responsibilities and putting the substance above all else, including the spouse, children, and extended family.
That's quite concerning. Could you share some of the signs that might indicate someone is struggling with substance addiction?
Sure. Some of the red flags include extreme mood swings, unexplained aggression, emotional distress, overspending on substances, issues arising at work, and even a neglected appearance. Recognizing these signs is critical for intervening early and addressing the issue.
And how exactly does substance abuse damage relationships and potentially lead to divorce?
Well, addiction brings a lot of stress and emotional strain into a relationship, not to mention financial troubles with excessive spending on drugs or alcohol. This situation creates a challenging environment, sometimes escalating to domestic violence, which sadly is much more common in relationships where substance abuse is present.
Ben, what happens in divorce proceedings when addiction is involved? How does it affect settlements?
Divorce proceedings are complicated, and when addiction comes into play, the process can focus heavily on that factor. It can influence decisions regarding child custody, with courts typically favoring the non-addicted parent, and sometimes alimony, where the sober spouse might receive financial support. The nature of the impact often depends on state laws and individual circumstances.
Interesting. Now, is there a difference between substance abuse and substance addiction?
Yes, there is. While they're related, substance abuse refers to using drugs or alcohol harmfully, and substance addiction, or SUD, is when there's a physical and psychological dependence, often leading to serious withdrawal symptoms when trying to quit.
Could you tell us more about some commonly abused substances?
Certainly. We see a wide range, including alcohol, opioids, CNS depressants, stimulants, marijuana, cocaine, depressants, heroin, dissociatives, and inhalants. The risk of addiction varies with the potency and addictive qualities of each substance.
What steps can a person take if they suspect their spouse is struggling with addiction?
It's a sensitive topic, but addressing it is crucial. It's important not to confront them when they are inebriated, avoid judgmental language, show empathy, and don't enable their behavior. Seeking professional advice and researching treatment options while setting concrete plans is the next course of action.
Speaking of treatment, Ben, what options are available for someone dealing with substance addiction?
There are several effective treatments for SUD. These range from medical detox, inpatient and outpatient treatments, MAT, CBT, dual diagnosis treatment, and support from groups like Alcoholics Anonymous and Smart Recovery. The goal is to find the right fit that addresses the unique needs of the individual.
And what if the situation involves domestic violence or danger due to a spouse's addiction?
That's a serious situation, and there are resources like the National Domestic Violence Hotline for immediate help. Ensuring safety is priority number one before even considering the steps for treatment or addressing the addiction.
To wrap up, what is the key message you have for our listeners who might be dealing with a spouse's substance abuse?
Addiction doesn't just affect the individual, it impacts the entire family. Recognizing the signs early, seeking help, and exploring treatment options can potentially save not just the marriage, but more importantly, lives. Remember that recovery is possible, and there's support out there.
Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today, Ben.
My pleasure, Anna. Thank you for inviting me to discuss such an important topic on the Addiction Group's podcast.
Thank you for tuning into Addiction Group's podcast. We hope our discussions bring clarity to your queries about addiction. Remember, we're here to support and guide you. Until next time, stay informed and stay strong.